Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the conference now, the great Katie Kinsella.
Hello. Thank you for that, Mark. Let me share my screen really quickly. I'm Katie Kinsella, and I am a sales exec at the game agency, eLearning Brothers. Can you give me a thumbs up if somebody, or a verbal if you can see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. So I am going to be talking about, and that's perfect, Jamie, that Jamie didn't get to that data part, because I will talk about that as well. We're going to talk about, data and how, kind of everything that we've been talking about today, how it all rolls together with the data and what the point is in all of this training. So here we go. So the goal of this session is we're going to learn how games are working, right? So the point of everything, understand how we're using the data behind all of it for our training purposes, and understand how to use the back end of the platform to explore all of the rich data that you now have at your fingertips. So I like to start with this game study that we did. This was a really cool study that we did to kind of look under our own hood and understand that the data and results that we have within the training arcade are working. So we looked at anonymous and aggregate data of 2,500 games that were built and used by our subscribers. And here are the results. So we found that players saw a 58% improvement in knowledge between the first and third attempt at play. So I know this has been kind of repeated, but I like to just, repeat that again, because it's, kind of the whole point of, there's a lot of traditional training and PowerPoints and things that are still necessary, but we don't typically see people coming back to PowerPoints multiple times. So that's where games really come in and help. Oops. So we also saw that players played an average of 1.7 times per session, and 57% of players played 3 or more times. We also dove in, so I think you've seen the different kinds of game types that we have. So we looked in at specific game types: jump, match, recall, and scenarios. So some of the different kinds of game types, and saw a 54% increase in knowledge retention from the first to the third time playing. And each one took an average of 3.4 minutes. And I'm going to get into this more on the back end, but I just want to highlight that. This was a specific study that we did based on 500 Jeopardy games that were built by our subscribers. And there were 435,000 separate game sessions, and we saw that 49% of those learners played each game 3 or more times. 46% average increase in knowledge between the first and third, so you're seeing a trend here, and players played an average of 6.2 minutes. So again, I changed this one to data is queen because it felt right. So training is useless without analytics. So the training arcade dashboard, you're going to see all of the places that we're able to look at this data to do a few things: reveal the knowledge gaps, personality behaviors, and group comparison. So a lot of the things that Jamie was showing within arcades as well. So we're going to be looking at the top line data. So you'll see where I'm going to show you the dashboard where we can just see the numbers of users playing, the sessions, the rank that they're in, percentage that they're getting correct or incorrect, and the total answers, total questions answered. And then we'll be able to look at different trends, right? So this is the L&D department or training. We can really understand, how long is it taking them to answer? How many times are they coming in and playing? What percentage are they getting correct or incorrect? And a lot of stuff that we can learn on tweaking the training that we're putting out and understand our learners more. Okay, so now the fun part, we're gonna go over, and actually I'm gonna start with this one just because this is where, because of time, we didn't get to when Jamie was showing the arcade. So hopefully there's people that were in Jamie's session and are now here. So this is specific to that arcade where you have the learning journeys, and it's kind of that gamified learning destination, or gamified layer that can be used in conjunction with an LMS or independently. So this is a great snapshot where you can come in and see a lot of the analytics that are tied to it. So you can come in and you can understand things like when people were playing, when were they playing a lot, how many sessions. This is something great to deliver along with the other things I'm going to show you just on, delivering to your different stakeholders. So you can get the overall accuracy. So let's say, for example, this was an arcade that Jamie had, that they invited all of the people that had just gotten hired to a new hire class. We could understand how are they all performing, and get a snapshot. We could go in and understand top 10 lists. So we could go in and see, what games are they playing really well? What are the, what's really popular? What's not as popular? We can X that out. We can look at the hardest questions. So that's a great one, because maybe that's something where we want to maybe rewrite the question so that it's a little bit easier for people to understand, or we need to deliver that a little bit better because it's not being answered correctly as often. You can have the easiest questions. Maybe that's something that you got your slam dunk, you found out, initially people have that knowledge and you don't need to focus as much. Really can explore the engagement level that you have. Leaderboards, again, you saw a lot of that on the actual arcade, but this is something that you could have just for delivering like an overall capture screenshot of what's happening within the arcades. You can understand solo games. This was the battles that Jamie talked about. We can have that spin to win, where we can understand, hey, is the spin to win bringing people in? Are they winning a bunch of XP points? Unique users that are joining in, that's something as well. So this is a specific screenshot for the analytics that go to the arcades. But when you go to the back end of the platform, which is here, this is where the specific games, when you saw Jamie pulling games into the arcades, that's where these all live. So those specific games then have all of their own robust analytics in this component. So what you're seeing here is the back end of my platform. And here I can see it automatically will populate to the last 30 days. So I could go and dive in and kind of slice and dice some of this data to deliver out. Maybe I want to understand how people were performing over the whole course of our subscription, last month, this month, today. I can understand, again, looking at this chart, understanding when people were playing a lot. And this is overall, this is all 10 of our game types that we have loaded in here. So this is looking at everything. And again, I can export all of this data, and I will show you that in a little bit. But so here you've got a variety of different things that's here. It's showing me how many players are new today that have played the games. Here's our average score, the total sessions that have played, our completed sessions, and that's important, right? How many people are coming in and finishing the actual sessions, the average duration, and then the accuracy. So 54% accuracy. So then the way that these are all laid out is there's a bunch of different ways to kind of search for the games that you're looking at. So I can come in, I can look by who created the game. The tags, this has been mentioned in other things as well. Tags are really important because as you build out your portfolio of games, it's really nice to be able to have them kind of categorized to understand which games are for which maybe function. Maybe it's marketing, maybe it's sales, maybe it's training. And I'll show you where that comes in when we look at the analytics as well. You can look at the overall accuracies, sessions, you can search by game type, and that's what we're actually going to do. I know the title of the game that I want to look specifically at, so it's a tax trivia game. So I'm going to type that in, and here's that game. I'm going to pop in. And like I mentioned before, you've got that similar dashboard, but now we're in the specific game type or specific game. We're in tax trivia. So I'm going to go, again, we've got that last 30 days. I'm going to go to all time, and I'm going to look at this game, and I'm going to understand that, again, we can look and see how this is. And we can see, all right, there was 1,725 players that played this game. I can see the average score. I can see the total sessions. I can see the completed sessions, and I can see the accuracy. And I always make this bad joke that I blame the 27% accuracy on the fact that it's on tax trivia. So no offense if somebody's really into tax. And then I can go in and I can look at this different information, right? So we've got the players, the rank, high score, completed sessions specific to this person. Here we can see the 3 sessions that were played, but I'll show you when we export, you can see unlimited sessions and data. I am going to go to a specific player. Let's say I've got this person that's exceptional, doing a great job at training, doing a great job at their job. And I can go in and say, all right, PK, how's it going? And I can say, all right, you played 3 sessions. Again, PowerPoint's not 3 sessions. They came back in willingly, minute and 21 seconds average session. And I can look here and I can see they completed all 3 of the sessions. The first time they got a 30% accuracy. The second, they got a 90%, and the third, they got 100%. So that's progression, right? That is the goal. That's everything. As a trainer, I'm feeling good about that. So then I can go and look at the actual questions. And I can say, all right, maybe the first attempt was before I'd even given any training, and that was, a pre-knowledge check. But it's important because I can also understand which questions right out the gate were not being answered properly. I can see where they got the second attempt and the third attempt, that they've gotten all the content correctly. Then I can look at an aggregate, because if you remember, I set this to all time of people that have played this game. So I can go look at all of this and I can say, all right, here's all the questions that we had put into this text trivia game. And I'm going to look at these accuracies, which is the total combined accuracy of the game. And I can say, this 13% would jump out at me. So I'm going to go into that and I'm going to say, okay, excellent. Now I know that I need to circle back and make sure that the learners understand that Utah does not have an income tax. And I can change that on the fly within the game, within moments. And I'm going to actually show you two more things that is important before we see the export data. One is when you have a game that is built, one of the really neat things that you can do is you can decide what information that you're capturing tied to that game. So you could have them have a registration, but you could add, here's some information that you have to capture, just having some unique identifier, but you can add custom fields. And what I like about this is people do some really creative things. You could have a text input or a drop down. Maybe you have the learners, when they're playing the game, they assign themselves to a different manager, or they assign themselves to a different region or territory, or less than 1 year with the company and more than 10 years with the company. So that then when I export that data, I'm going to get all of those groups of information, and it gives me a lot of insight into how people are performing according to their kind of job functions or group that they've assigned themselves here. So now I've talked about exporting the data. And then just as far as changing the question, like I said, if we wanted to make sure that they understood that Utah does not have a state income tax, boom, I could make that a highlighted question just within seconds. Okay, and then I'm going to just real quick go to this. This is what an export looks like. So it goes into a CSV file. Here you can really, really get in and start playing around with all of the data so that you can deliver it and get a lot of insights into what's going on. So here I've deleted the names here, but you've got the names here that would either be associated with their SSO or game registration. You can see their ranks, their high score. So the stuff that's here within the export, a lot of it is going to be similar to what you're getting in the back end. But you also can, sorry, let me just move this. You can also get a lot deeper into this information. So you can look at the actual sessions, which is something that you don't get quite as much of the information on when you're in the back end of the platform. And this is also an opportunity to start looking at the questions and understanding how people are doing with the questions. You can see the accuracy for the first time, the second time. And again, this is the whole thing that we're looking for, right? Is this progression. We want to see that the first time they took it, they had a 32%, second 55%, third 100%. That's the goal of everything. So there's a lot that you can do once you export this to deliver it out, slice and dice and give it to your stakeholders. So with that said, I think I'm going to pop over just to my final slide and I can see if there's any questions. I know that that was very fast. I know we have a Jeopardy game that we're going to. Are there any questions that I can answer?
Katie, hi.
Hi.
I actually don't think so. I've been answering a few of them. Let me see if there are any that you might want to answer live. We've been sharing the link to pricing throughout. Jake, if you're there, if you could just share that link one more time. One good question from Ethan, do you provide an API to access our accounts data so that we can pull it into our company Power BI dashboards?
Oof.
Which we can do.
Yes.
That. I don't know if you want to expand on it. Yes. So that is a definite, we can help with API connection.
Yes.
Yeah, if anybody wants to throw some questions into the chat, or the Q&A bubble, now is the time. Otherwise, we might be right back on time, Katie. Perfect.
Katie put us back on track.
Speed talking.
Katie.
Speed talking.
How that happened, but I-